This is Jackie, and I'm here at Eagle Bank Arena with Thrice. We're here for Bring Me the Horizon tour. We're going to keep as warm as humanly possible today. The weather's going to get gross. I'm so ready. Thrice has been around for kind of a little bit, and that's an understatement. What do you attribute to your band's longevity?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I think part of it is probably that we kind of always have just done our own thing and just tried to make music that we liked and not tried to, I don't know, play any games with it. But I feel like we built, it builds trust with people, just knowing you're going to put everything into the music that you make. And even if they don't like it right away, which happens because as bands progress, it you got to kind of catch up sometimes, and we do that plenty when we hear new records. But yeah, I think you build trust, and people come back.
I feel like that seems to be a kind of a theme lately of bands doing the things that feel right for them as a band. They put it out there and kind of wait to see what the fans do. I feel like even Bring Me the Horizon has gotten kind of an interesting response to their new album. What do you think is more important, making music that is true to you and what you like versus what the fans are looking for, or a happy medium?
I think it's just different for different people doing different kinds of music. I mean, I think if you're putting the things you really care about into it, I think that's gonna make a difference. But there's also just certain pop music that is written specifically trying to just you know do a certain thing, and that can be great music too. So I don't know. But for us, it's just that's always been the way that we've operated.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you summed it up pretty well.
So, talking about your band's longevity, how has your sound evolved from like Identity Crisis to your new album Palms?
Hmm. I mean, I think each record's definitely shifted some, at least. I think there's like early on the first couple records, we're like there's a different kind of progression happening. I feel like after maybe we did the Alchemy Index, it became more of like I feel like we really solidified as a band, and then it was more of like just what do we want to do right now? Like there's just so many directions you could go, and that's really the hardest thing for us is deciding like what are we actually going to do. Like we have a ton of ideas. Which ones do we pursue? Because we'd be happy doing a variety of different kinds of sounds or methods. The methods. Sorry, no, we had a really Apple Music gave us a great like description of the new record. It just said uh, something about Thrice
Oh yeah.
entertains with new sounds and methods. And that was like the whole thing. We're like, cool.
Thanks for the really most vaguest description ever.
It's very thoughtful. Um, yeah, that's kind of how I view it. Is there was more of like a I don't know, like we were trying to progress and trying different things, but I feel like at a certain point it solidified into I think us just really coming into our own as a group of musicians together, and uh, then it's a bit up in the air.
And how would you say Palms has differed or improved upon your sound from To Be Everywhere?
I think we had a little more freedom in a way with this record because we tracked all the instruments ourselves. So the drums, well, besides the drums, so the drums and the vocals we tracked with our producer Eric in various studios, but everything else we did on our own in our friend's studio, and that was pretty intentional. I think we just and we wanted the freedom and the time to just experiment and kind of do I don't know whatever. Just we recorded the Alchemy Index on our own, and we felt that that was something that was really freeing and just not worrying about wasting somebody else's time or if you're at a nice studio, you're burning money basically by experimenting. So yeah, I think that was maybe one of the bigger differences.
And I think going into it, we decided pretty. I don't know the word I'm looking for. We decided to bring in, I think, some more different sounds that we uh, hadn't on To Be Everywhere. To Be Everywhere is pretty just it's. I mean, it's diverse, but it's a rock record. It's very guitar driven, and there's some other kind of synthy stuff that comes into Palms.
Tell me about your single "Hold Up a Light." I feel like the all of last year and even already the beginning of this year has been sort of really filled with vitriol and chaos and things like that. What inspired you to write that song, and what do you hope fans take away from it?
I mean, it's kind of an encouraging song. I hope for people who are trying to make things better and do so in a. I mean, there's definitely a purposefully non-violent imagery used in the song because I think there's ways to advance things without violence, and I would say that goes not just with actions but language, and there's understandable frustration a lot of times, and I think we all give into it, but it's also I think when our language is violent, it ends up dividing things further than they already were, which makes progress difficult. So.
Is that going to be one of the songs on your set list?
It is, yeah.
How do you go about choosing a set list when you have 10 albums to choose from? You have a lot of variety and a lot of options there.
Yeah, it's hard. We have there's like a app website thing that we use that helps because you see it all there. You can see what guitars each of us are playing, because that's hard too. As we've progressed, we've brought in baritone guitars, and then for a while it was like, okay, we're all on the baritone guitar on this song, and now it's like, all right, he's on baritone, he's on his weird other bass with the different string, and I'm on a normal guitar, and it becomes really hard to make the transitions smooth, let alone just choose the songs. So there's a variety of factors, trying to do stuff we like, stuff we know people want to hear. So yeah, on longer sets sometimes we'll be like, oh, let's bring in this one that I don't know if anyone wants to hear, but we want to play it, and then play some favorites. The last tour we specifically took out some favorites that we'd done for a long time just to mix it up and brought in some different ones. We actually last tour we did a voting thing too, so people could vote, which was actually really helpful to see. Oh, okay, like I thought they really liked that one, but not quite so much, and this one I didn't know. Yeah, so we kind of built it out of that, and then added a couple of the new songs in.
It depends on the tour too. For a tour like this, where we're support, we're kind of not tailoring it so much, but I guess so. We're kind of considering the audience, and we understand that they're not necessarily our audience, so we're trying to figure out what songs might go over well with this crowd or whatever. So
yeah, in a smaller set, you have less time to kind of take it way down or back up or whatever. It's a little bit more of like a power set.
So with new music, your album came out late last year, and focus still seems to be on album sales and charts like that. But in your preference, would you rather have album sales, radio airplay, streams? What do you tend to focus on when it comes to that kind of data?
All that data is changing all the time, like what any of it means. So I mean, we've been getting some radio play the last 2 records, which has actually been really cool because it's introduced the band to new people that wouldn't have heard it otherwise. So that's we've never had a ton of success at radio, but it's been nice to have a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing we end up looking at more than anything is probably like touring stuff, like how is the tour going in different areas. So that seems to be the best judge of any kind of all those other things kind of coming together, maybe. Yeah.
What role do you see music streaming having in 2019 with music? Specifically, your music.
I mean, I feel like it's becoming by far the main way people listen to music. And I mean, there's great stuff about that, especially like we're going to have, I don't know if I can talk about it. There's going to be more music coming out that was recorded during this session later this year, a couple months. And so, when that's available, people can just listen to it, which is really fun. I don't know.
It's always such a double-edged sword. I'm not really sure how to feel about
It's
much. But I mean, it's like on one hand, it's so accessible for people to listen to, so that's a huge plus. But then again, there's so much out there that it's like, how do people find you out of the sea of what's out there? So I mean, I think all in all, it's a positive thing, and I think the immediacy of it is good, at least in this day and age. I mean, like Radiohead just put out one song just the other day, and I was like, oh, new music, cool.
and as much as it's still not very beneficial to artists, it's better than people stealing music. So I don't know. I still am hopeful that the whole system can progress towards being more artist friendly. Right now, a lot of the streaming income just goes to the giant corporations that own most of the labels. So
Hopefully they'll find a way to share that a little bit better.
yeah, it's an odd setup. I mean, I think initially it made sense that they basically the major players have licensing fees that they charge before any of the music money goes out to anyone, and so that's rough. But I feel like eventually, I don't know. I would hope that the streaming platforms will be like, no, like we're just gonna, if you don't want to put your music on here, other people will. So I don't know. We'll see.
So you teased a little bit about new music. What else does 2019 hold for Thrice, do you think?
A lot of touring. We're kind of set throughout the rest of the year. We've got Australia coming up. We have an unannounced kind of festival tour that looks like we're going to be on in the summer, and then we're going to Europe in the fall with Refuse, which is going to be really cool. Super cool. So.
Well, stay tuned for much more from Thrice. This is Jackie. Thanks to In the Key of Change and Substream Magazine.